Hey guys, welcome to the Field of 68 YouTube channel. If you like what you see here, hit that subscribe button and you'll get more college basketball content just like this. We got to start with the draft lottery. We got to start with Victor Wembanyama going to the San Antonio Spurs. Tim Duncan, David Robinson, Wemby, Tony Parker, Boris Diaw, Wemby. I have never been more convinced that the NBA is rigged than I am this morning after seeing the Spurs get the #1 overall pick. I'm convinced it is. That's the one tradition that David Stern passed down to Adam. Oh God, I'm blanking. Adam Silver. I almost said Adam Fisher. I don't even know if that's a real person. Anyway, go ahead. Talk to me about Wemby to the Spurs.
Well, here's the biggest thing is where was the best place for Wemby to land? And a lot of people last night were like applauding it's San Antonio because of their culture, because of Pop, because of everything. And the more I thought about it, the more I thought, I'm not convinced of that anymore because Greg Popovich is 74 years old. He's not going to be coaching Wemby for that long. Let's be honest. It'll make it more attractive for the next coach for them to be able to hire the next guy because they'll have a guy like Victor Wembanyama. But that roster is atrocious right now. It really is. It's bad. It's the worst roster of any of those teams. Now, I'm not saying they don't have, good management because I think R.C. Buford and what they put together there has obviously done, wonders for stability and everything like that. But when you look at the players on that team, you're just like, who do they have? Devontae Graham, Jeremy Sohan, Devin Vassell, my boy Doug McDermott. They don't have a lot of high-end talent when the other situations, Portland, Dame Lillard. Like, that's where, honestly, the best place he could have gone was Portland because they have guards. Yeah. Dame Lillard, Shaedon Sharpe, Anthony Simons. They got Nurkic. That's the place that, honestly, would have been the best spot for him because they're a Victor Wembanyama away from being able to compete right away. That's the difference. Like Charlotte, no, it's a train wreck. It's a mess. Houston, I know they got Ime Udoka there. It's a mess right now. It's going to take a while to get them to where, again, they've got the right infrastructure in place. Detroit is a mess. So I think Portland was the winner for Victor. San Antonio, we'll see. I just don't think they're going to be any good even with Victor.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to take a while. I still think that there's going to be a little bit of an adjustment for him getting to the NBA. I just think somebody with that body type and having never played against that level of talent before, I do think that there's going to be probably a year or two to try to get adjusted to playing in the NBA. There's a reason why the NBA is
he's the greatest prospect in team sports history, according to somebody, ever. Like, come on, man. Like, what are we talking about? LeBron James was more hype because he was in the country. That's the difference. Like, there's no way in hell. I know you're trying to sell the lottery here, but
no, I get it. So here, that's actually a great question. Let me ask you this: if you could draft without knowing what he turned into, if you could get 18-year-old LeBron James, or you could get 18-year-old Victor Wembanyama, who are you taking with the #1 pick?
LeBron fucking James. This isn't even close for me. The dude, again, his body frame, you knew he was going to hold up #1. His maturity, you knew he was going to hold up and live up to the hype. His elite passing, his ability to work and get his shot better. That was the only question mark. Elite defender, elite passer, elite scorer, elite IQ, elite all of it. The only thing he couldn't do was shoot the ball well. And man, has he worked on that part of his game, and you knew he would. So this isn't even close. It's not even a discussion for me.
I mean, I hear what you're saying. I'll play devil's advocate here. I think LeBron is the one guy that I can think of, and correct me if I'm wrong. Somebody in the chat, let me know if I'm wrong. If you're listening to this on the podcast, please tweet me. Let me know if I'm wrong. He's the one guy that I've ever seen that had that level of hype and that level of expectation that actually lived up to it. Can you think of anybody else that came in where we were saying he's the best prospect that we've ever seen that actually found a way to live
in
up to
any
being
sport
the best
or
prospect
just the NBA?
in any sport,
Wayne
period?
Gretzky. Wayne Gretzky.
Okay. I don't know
Wayne
anything about
Gretzky's the
hockey,
other
so
one.
I'll take the only thing I know about Wayne Gretzky in hockey is that Matt McCall played golf with him the other day. That's the only thing I know about
Wayne Gretzky lived up to the hype. He lived up to the hype and then some. So, but yes,
you know what? Hold
LeBron
on, let
and
me take it
Gretzky.
back. I'll give you one more. Bryce Harper. Bryce Harper for the Phillies. He was a guy that, like, at 17 years old, was the next greatest thing that we've ever seen, and is now the best player, second best player in baseball. Maybe he's one of the best players in baseball. But I do think that when you look at what LeBron has turned into, it is impossible to talk about him as a prospect without, like, the idea in your mind that, yes, he lived up to these outrageous expectations that he had. I think given the way that the NBA has gone and how valuable rim protectors that can space the floor are, like, to me, this is just the next step in basketball evolution, going from the throwback bid like a Shaq to somebody like a Nikola Jokic or a Joel Embiid that play on the perimeter, to a Kevin Durant that is a 7-foot guard, to now you have a legitimate 5 rim protector, great defender who, oh, by the way, might also be one of the best scorers that we're going to see on the perimeter. So it's going to be fascinating to watch him develop. I think he is.
Here's what I say too, Rob. Here's what I say also is I still worry, and I know if you haven't watched it, watch our YouTube video on Devontae Jones talking about Victor Wembanyama.
Tell him who Devontae Jones is.
He played at Michigan. He's now Victor's point guard this year in France. So he knows him about as well as anybody. And it was really,
if you go and watch the interviews that he did last night with, I believe it was NBA, the NBA social team, and I think Brian Windhorst was out there for ESPN. You could see Devontae Jones creeping in the background with a Bass Pro Shops hat on, which was that had me laughing.
Anyway, Devontae went through everything about Victor and what a great teammate he is, all of it. And the one thing that I'd heard and to listen to Devontae talk about it was his regimen, his pregame regimen, and how he tries to get his body right so that it can withstand not only now, but a career in the NBA. Because obviously you look at these other guys, the Chet Holmgrens, even the Kevin Durants, and they've been off injured. And Victor has a guy, he's been working with him for a while now. They have a pregame, they have an off, they have all sorts of stretching and other exercises, other things that they do in order to be able to get his body to withstand the rigors of the NBA. But I still worry about that body frame. I'm not going to lie. I don't care what he does. I still worry about it because I've seen too many guys that look like that. Well, there aren't that many guys that look like that, but guys that are long and thin like that, that can't absorb the pounding over and over and over and get hurt. So I don't know. I mean, again, I just think LeBron.
I'm with you. I'm with you on that. I do think that he has, like, he's got a little bit of a wider frame, I think, than some of those guys, and I do think he might be able to handle a little bit more strength, a la a Jason Tatum. But yes, that is the single biggest concern. It's the same thing as Zion Williamson. Like, you have these body types that are not, I guess, the norm. It's not the norm. And the stresses of 82 games plus whatever you play in the playoffs is a lot when you add all the travel and stuff in. So it was good to hear that. That was actually the one thing that I took away more than anything else from the interview you did with Devontae was, oh, he's already prepping his body to be able to withstand it. And that was something that stood out to me. All right. Our partner for today's episode is Athletic Greens. I started taking AG1 during the college basketball season, and I loved the impact that it had on my energy levels. I'm a big coffee in the morning guy, but by the time that the afternoon would hit, I needed another boost. AG1 helped me tremendously, especially on those days when I didn't want to get up off the couch and go hit the gym. Their tagline is AG1 is comprehensive health and the power of habit in one. And man, that could not be more true. It's nearly impossible to eat and drink in a healthy manner in the month of February and the month of March when you are in my business. And AG1 was exactly the supplement that I needed to improve my gut health and cover my nutritional basis for the day. I've continued that into April. I've continued that into May, and I'm going to continue that the rest of the summer. All I have to do is mix a scoop of AG1 with some water, or maybe add it into a smoothie, and I'm ready to go. Do it after lunch, and you'll be ready to go for the rest of the day. If a comprehensive solution is what you need from your supplement routine, then Athletic Greens is giving you a free 1-year supply of vitamin D and 5 free travel packs with your first purchase. Go to athleticgreens.com/field68. That's field 68 FIELD, the number 6, the number 8, and you can get yours now. So check it out and help support this show. Thanks. I have 5 more questions for you coming from the lottery.
5 more.
5 more questions. So we're just gonna kind of roll through these. I'm sorry, 4 more questions.
Okay.
I think that the most fascinating decision, and where we're going to kind of see like an inflection point in this draft, is going to be, and this is kind of an obvious pick, is going to be at number 2, right? Because the Charlotte Hornets are sitting in a position where they're going to have to make a decision between Scoot Henderson and Brandon Miller. Now, on paper, Brandon Miller fits what they have on that roster better. At the same time, I think I would still make the argument that Scoot Henderson is the higher upside prospect out of those two. But I don't know if you can play Scoot Henderson and LaMelo Ball in the same backcourt. So
you can because LaMelo can shoot it. That's why you can. I'm not saying it's perfect because both kind of need the ball in their hands. But to me, playing with 2 point guards, there's never an issue with that as long as one of them can shoot it and LaMelo can shoot it. He can.
He can. I think that Scoot is a guy that needs to have the ball to be effective. And LaMelo needs to have the ball to be effective. And so I guess the way that I would phrase the question is this. If you believe that LaMelo Ball is the guy that can lead your franchise to being a title contender, do you take the guy that fits alongside of him, knowing that there's a chance that he could end up being like a Jason Tatum while also
I don't care about fit. I don't give a shit about fit. I'm looking at it, to me, if I'm the general manager of Charlotte, I'm saying, who is the guy I think has a chance to be a top 5 player in the NBA down the road? Who is that guy? That's who I'm taking. I could give a shit about fit.
Okay, so who is it? Who would you take there? You think it's Scoot?
I haven't seen Scoot enough. All I'll say is he can't shoot. Brandon Miller shoots the shit out of it. And Brandon Miller, to me, has the length. Now, Scoot's a freak athlete in a Derrick Rose, when he was healthy type player. He's got that gear. He's got that size. He's got that athleticism. He can pass the hell out of the ball. Brandon Miller's kind of the opposite, right? He's super skilled. He's long. He's smooth. He's athletic enough. He can put on the floor some. He's better than Jabari Smith. He is better at the same stage than Jabari Smith was a year ago because he can put on the floor. He can put on the floor up. That's the difference.
No, he can, but I don't. I am concerned. The reason why I lean Scoot in that spot being the better overall prospect is, one, Russell Westbrook, Ja Morant. You mentioned Derrick. Like, we've seen freak athlete guards that can't really shoot have a ton of success at the NBA level. So I'm not that concerned about it. And 2, with Brandon Miller, I don't. He can play off the bounce a little bit against college kids. I'm not convinced that he has like the Jason Tatum perimeter game, and that's going to be something that he'll be able to get.
Tatum stood in the corner. First of all, Tatum didn't shoot it well at Duke at all. He shot like 35% or something like that at Duke. Okay, number one. When he came into the NBA, they stuck him in the right corner for the first half of his rookie year. He didn't put in the floor at all. So, it takes time. Jason Tatum put on a lot of weight up here that enabled him to be able to go to when his first couple of years, when he go to the basket, he had no desire for any contact. He would avoid it at all costs. Now he's big.
Now he looks like a wrestler, man. Like his upper body is a V.
He's a man now. Yeah, but it wasn't. That's what I'm trying to say.
He's not just a man. He looks like he could probably play defensive line for the Patriots.
It's crazy because he had a boy's body, which makes sense when he came out of Duke. Now,
but he did. He also, like, I remember watching him at Peach Jam, and like that dude had. But before he got to college, that dude had off the dribble game. Like his mid range game was elite.
Yes.
So that's the one thing I'm worried about. Brandon Miller.
I actually think Brandon Miller's a really good passer. I really do. I don't think you saw it that much at Alabama, but I saw it on the AU circuit.
You saw it.
I saw it.
Yeah. God, the Boston is really coming out of you today. All right, let's go to the next question I have. So if you are Portland at number 3, I think you have a decision to make. You have Dame Lillard. I don't know how many years you have left of Dame being Dame, right? So you have this asset. You have this number 3 pick. You have some, like you mentioned earlier, you have some good quality pieces around him. Are you using this to draft Brandon Miller or Scoot Anderson? Or do you take this and dangle it as bait to try to go get someone like, I don't know, a Brad Beal, someone, a star from another organization to try to like legitimately give Dame a second guy? What are you doing if you're the Portland Trail Blazers here?
Yeah, I'm going to try to package this pick, and I'm going to package Anthony Simons and see what I can get right now to get another star, to get another dude that can help Dame, because I think, you know what I think of Shaedon Sharpe. I think he's going to be terrific. And if you can add another forward front, they need another big, really, or at least a big wing, which Brandon Miller is, but you don't have time. You don't have time right now. You got to deliver somebody for Dame Lillard that can help them win now. So to me, I would package Simons because I think his value is really high right now, coming off a hell of a season. And I would package this pick and see what I can get. And can you get, a Brad Beal type? Obviously, you're gonna have to throw in something to make the money work. But I would look to add another all-star.
Yep, that's what I would do too. You're in the win now time frame, and that time frame is kind of closing. So that's what I would do. Is Detroit the biggest loser in this year's draft lottery?
Sure, of course. I mean, they don't even have a coach. Troy Weaver is just kind of accumulating. I feel like Troy Weaver is just like trying to get as many high school, like it's like he's still working at Syracuse as an assistant coach in recruiting, and just trying to get as many like top 20 players as he can. Because if you look at that team, I love Cade Cunningham. You know that. I think he's a stud. Jaden Ivey, we'll see kind of what happens there, but I'm hoping Jaden Ivey progresses. And then you took chances on Bagley, Wiseman, RJ Hampton, some of these guys that haven't worked out. Jalen Duren, I'm not sure on yet. So I just think this
Isaiah Stewart, James Wiseman. Yeah, you're right. Like he's just looking back at like who was a McDonald's All-American in 2019. Let me get that guy. I need him.
It's like Troy Weaver is still honestly still a college coach, an assistant. So I don't love what he's done. And I'm scared of what he's going to do at the head coaching spot. Kevin Ollie didn't work out well at the end for your UConn Huskies. He kind of ran him into the ground there, Robert. So I don't know. You don't listen. The one thing is you don't have to work that hard in the NBA. That's the good thing for Kevin Ollie is work ethic. He'll go in and he'll be fine as long as he can develop these young guys.
The one thing I will say about Ollie is this: the best team that he had was when he had Shabazz Napier and Ryan Boatwright, and he could just give them the ball and say, "Hey, okay, look, the play that we're running is." Everybody get out of the way and let Shabazz figure something out. Everybody get out of the way and let Ryan Boatwright figure something out. Yep. And in theory, you got a couple guys that you might be able to do that with in Cade Cunningham and Jaden Ivey. So like, I don't think it's necessarily the worst situation, but like I also saw how little I don't want to kill Kevin Ollie on here.
I'm just terrified.
I like Kevin Ollie. He's a UConn legend in my mind. So, yes, there's it's not all negatives.
I don't like how the pieces fit together. Again, you're rolling the dice on too many guys. You're trying to do too many reclamation projects. And again, I don't know who you take here. My guess is that, they'll end up like one of the Thompson twins or something like that. I would take Cam Whitmore, to be honest here. I think Whitmore's got much higher upside. He shot it well this year. Like the Thompson twins are freak athletes who can guard. Amen can pass as well. But to me, Cam Whitmore fits more of.
Yeah, I like Whitmore because he can shoot it a little bit. He's a good enough athlete. I think that there's
no, he's a better than a good enough athlete. He's a great athlete.
What I was going to say is I think he's a good enough athlete that he can be like your 1 through 5 defender. Like I think there's a world where he's a small ball 5. He could be a lob. I like him there, but yeah, when you have a chance to get the number 1 pick and you end up falling all the way to number 5 in a 3-player draft, it's kind of it's not the greatest thing in the world. Last thing, outside of the biggest names, which, you know, are the top three, I'll throw the Thompson twins in there. You mentioned Whitmore.
Yeah.
Who's the potential lottery pick that you're high on, that you're most interested to see where they land, that you think has a better chance than anybody else at maybe reaching that like all NBA kind of in the MVP conversation level? Like who's the guy that you are just buying all the stock in right now?
Who am I buying all this? I love, I love Casey Wallace. I'll
Yep.
go with Casey Wallace. I just think he's an elite defender, an elite competitor, a better shooter than I thought he'd be, although he came down to earth. He can run the point, and in the NBA, again, you're not going to get pressured like you do in college, and he'll become an even better shooter because he's going to work at it. So I love Casey Wallace. I think he's one. I love Jalen Hood-Schifino. A big point like that. I know he's not a great athlete, but I think he'll be good. But I would say Casey Wallace, to me, I would take in the top 10. So the other guy is Nick Smith. You're buying low. I think Nick Smith, we never saw Nick Smith this year. Nobody ever saw the real Nick Smith this season because he was in and out of the lineup injured. But all I remember is Peach Jam Nick Smith. And man, that Nick Smith was fun to watch because that Nick Smith was a scoring machine. And he can score from all three levels. He's got the positional size. I think he's a straight 2 for the most part. Let him just score. So those are a few guys I really like.
Yeah. So the name that I love, that I keep falling back to, that I think has a chance to be Devin Booker, and also has a chance to be like one of these guys that is barely getting minutes on lottery teams in 5 years, is Keontae George. Yeah. I think he is the best bucket getter in this. Like, if you're just like, all right, I need to bet on a guy to go get me 30 and a half, like, he's the guy that can go do that. The two questions I have with him, number one, he showcased a pretty good ability to kind of play out of ball screens and get some assists out of ball screens. My question is, how much of that stuff was actually just schemed and drawn up, and all he had to do was like, okay, you dribble here and then you make this pass, versus like you're coming off this screen and you got to read the defense and figure out where the ball's supposed to go. Yeah. I think more of it was schemed than what people realize. And two, it is the elite level shot making. Like, the thing about Devin Booker is when he's at his best, like he's probably the most efficient guard in the NBA. Like, that dude takes nothing but good shots. He had games where he was like 15 for 19 from the floor in the fucking playoffs, man. And I think that Keontae George, in a best case scenario, can be that level of player because he's shown flashes of all the stuff that you have to be able to. Like, Booker's also an elite ball screen passer these days. Like, I think he's the best 2 guard in the NBA. Is that crazy to say? Like, who would you put above him?
Probably
it's like weird labeling these guys, like maybe Brad Beal, like Dame Lillard,
he's moved way in front of Beal.
Yeah. So I think Keontae George, there's a non-zero possibility that he ends up being that good. So we will see what happens. Listen, thank you for watching the Field of 68. If you've enjoyed what you've seen here, hit that like button, share this link with your friends, or check out the description for some other places that you can consume Field of 68 content.